How's it going, everybody? We are here. It just took a few minutes. Thanks for bearing with us. Will was like, man, this is so unprofessional. I mean, this is ridiculous. So thankfully he decided to stick around at least for the beginning of the show here. Welcome back to episode 4 of the 312 show. I am Nick Sperry here in Chicago, joined by my co-host in California. Hit me with it. What's your name?
Great.
What's your name?
I never get to introduce myself. I'm so excited.
Well, because I'm bad at remembering these things. So
y'all good.
I'm remembering this time.
My name is hard to remember. You may know me as Drew Bishop Sai.
And our special guest, you may know him as a 2-time System Open champion and co-host of the Gold Squadron podcast, which technically I am Gold 6, so I am a part of Gold Squadron as well. Will Haigwood is here. He doesn't even need to introduce himself. I'll take care of it for him. Thanks for being here, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And if everybody just wants to fixate on Chewbacca's crotch behind Will, that will be, there you go. It's perfect. Happy belated Halloween as well. I saw a lot of, speaking of Chewbacca, I saw a lot of Chewbacca costumes, which is great. They're like onesies. I'm like, man, that looks so comfortable. I would wear that all the time. I would wear it all the time. You are that Nick? Yeah, I'm that Nick. The one that I guess people like know me for table flipping and TTS. That's like the thing I'm known for. Not any of the edited content that's ever been put on GSP's YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm table flipping Nick. So we have a very, very exciting show. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about. I mean, you X-Wing players out there may or may not know what we might talk about here in a bit. Will just went through a whole spiel doing it yesterday. So when we do get to the RPO thing, just want to preface that we're going to try to be open-minded here, but also try to talk about things in a way that maybe everyone else hasn't talked about. So we'll get to that soon, but let's introduce our topics for the day, for the evening, rather. First, oh yeah, everyone's in the right place. Good. So first off, we're doing our introduction, which we just did. So I will continue on. We're back, bitches, to Random Chicago, which if you guys didn't notice, I have a Chicago flag now hanging behind me here, just above the bed. And Random Chicago today is about the Chicago flag. Wow, so fascinating. Everybody wants to know about the Chicago flag. I mean, it's just everyone types, messages me, emails me saying, hey, can you talk about the Chicago flag? I don't really care about anything else. I don't care about X-Wing. I just want to know about the Chicago flag. So I'm like, fine, we'll do it. So I'm going to keep this really fast. People might wonder, like, what the stars are for. Why are there 4 stars on the flag? It's super random. So I'll break it down for you guys really quick. The flag was adopted on April 4th, 1917. Just celebrated its 100-year anniversary a few years ago. And even the stripes actually represent something. So the 3 white bands stand for the north, west, and south sides of the city. Okay. And the blue stripes are symbolic of the city's important bodies of water. Lake Michigan and the Chicago River. The stars represent, from left to right, Fort Dearborn, the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, just a few years ago, the World's Columbian Exposition of 1893, very relevant, things we talk about all the time, and the Century of Progress Exhibition in 1933 and 1934. Wow, super outdated. So the Chicago flag is historically super outdated, just like every other flag, I guess. They don't update it, right? People talked about adding a 5th star for the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series, which would have been awesome, but I feel bad for White Sox fans because they're like, what the fuck? We exist. So I understand why they decided, we're not going to do that. But yeah, so that is the Chicago flag. Chicago has a flag, yeah. It's like, you'll see, if you didn't know that, genuinely, if you didn't know that, I don't know, you must not be watching the stream with your eyes open because it's pretty obvious. Moving along, it's time to get to hot takes. Drew, I hope you have some spicier hot takes for me today.
I don't, man. I had a super long day at work, and then I went to go get my COVID booster, and as it turns out, I was so wrapped up in work that my booster shot is actually next week. Not today.
Oh, really?
So I was in line for like 20 minutes and got to the front. The guy's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, dude. Your shot's next week." And I'm like,
Drew.
"Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye." And I literally left, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna frickin' nap. I'm so tired."
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll
but
get
I'm
through
here.
this. We'll get
I'm
through
here.
this.
Yeah. So hot takes. I'm gonna say, you know what? Is it a hot take? No. We should do random order before. No, it's not X-Wing
No.
related.
Hey, okay, so Will, for hot takes, it cannot be X-Wing related. This is the
Can't be
rule.
X-Wing related,
If you say anything X-Wing related, you have to
Oh.
say 2 that aren't. Like you have to then come up with 2.
Please skip me. I'll think of something real quick.
Alright.
I'll think of something real quick.
All right. All right. I think I got one. I got one. Oh, you got one? Okay.
I got one. I got one. All right.
Do
So,
it.
I'm a big Marvel fan. So my hot take is Venom: Let There Be Carnage is the best MCU movie out of the entire lot.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Will was
Spoilers
not
for those-
expecting that.
Spoilers for those who haven't seen it yet. Sorry.
Okay, can you top that, Will? Do you have anything spicier than that?
I'm stunned by that. I haven't seen it. So no, pass for now. I'll think of something good though.
Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm gonna stay outside of Star Wars here. I'm gonna say that let's go with food. So a lot of people are super on the Chipotle bandwagon. I mean, maybe not so much now, but Chipotle is really just not that good, guys. It's not Chipotle. You know what? Chipotle is not good. That's the hot take.
Is it true? Is it true though? Because I gotta be honest with you, my wife and I, we kind of came to the same conclusion. At one point, we were kind of looking at each other, and we were like, "We're not gonna eat here again for a long time, are we?" And we were like, "Yeah." I mean, we're in California, right? So there's way better places to get.
You know what the reason why I think it's not that good is it's actually more on the employees and the standards of every place is different, and there's a lot of places that I've been to where they didn't know how to make a burrito. You open it, it explodes. They give you 2 pieces of steak if you get a burrito bowl. It's just so inconsistent, and I think that's probably what my biggest problem with Chipotle is, that I've had a couple of decent experiences, but for the cost, especially here in the city, it's expensive. It is not worth it. 9 times out of 10, I'm I could have probably gotten better Mexican food at a real Mexican restaurant. Would have been cheaper too. So. Yeah, what's better than Chipotle? Qdoba? If anyone's ever had Qdoba actually gives you free guac. And I feel that's just grounds for automatically better. Just automatically better. Just for that. Yeah.
Wow.
Why are avocados they're fooling you guys. Avocados aren't they're not gold. They're not worth more than a few cents. Why they charge $3 to give you a piece of avocado or a little bit of guac? I don't get it. Will, you got something yet?
All right, I like that food route you took. So I got a hot take that I personally feel very strongly about. Ketchup is for children. Do not put ketchup on your food unless you are under 8 years old.
Thank you. Oh my god. So how do you feel about with fries though? As a side with fries, same thing, right?
Mayo. Get garlic mayo. Get some honey mustard.
So Will is saying that you should get mayo to dip your fries in.
Yeah, spicy mayo, way better than ketchup.
No, just regular mayo, right? Just
No, not mayo. No.
Hellman's mayo.
No,
I'm not.
I think you're on. I think you're wow. I think you're onto something though, Will. So I use the ketchup at Costco occasionally when we buy the hot dogs there, right? But other than that, I don't ever use ketchup for anything. But I used it all the time when I was a kid. It's wait a minute. You might be onto something here.
Well, yeah, it's
it's so
do you
sweet.
like sugar? Yeah, do you like sugar and savory?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean here in Chicago that putting a ketchup on a hot dog is a sin. People don't give you ketchup when you ask for it. Which I'm damn, sucks if you like ketchup. I'm a mustard guy through and through. If I am gonna put a condiment on my hot dog, I'll put some mustard. I'm not gonna gulp mustard, but I'll put some on my hot dog. So
honey mustard.
Anti-ketchup, so Canadian. Wow. Is that... I feel like that's a compliment, though. Like, being called, like, I wish I were Canadian. Hot take? Nick wishes he were Canadian. Nick hates America, confirmed?
Really
Alright, Drew,
hot.
Drew
Really
barely...
hot.
Yeah, very, very hot. Boiling. Drew, you got another one for us?
You're gonna have to give me another. You're gonna have to give me another second. I'll think of one. Oh, let me see.
That's fine.
I got another controversial
Yes.
food topic. Deep dish is the best kind of pizza.
You know, it warms my heart to hear somebody say something nice about deep dish because I feel like it just has a target on its back because it exists.
Those
Like, people are like...
haters, man.
You went to... You got deep dish with Marcel not too long ago, right? You were in the city not super long ago?
No, we went to a fancy restaurant. I had capers on my chicken. That's how you know it's fancy.
Oh, okay. I thought you went to Maggiano's. I thought they had pizza there. Maybe I just don't know Maggiano's.
No, we
very
didn't.
well.
We didn't get it though. But
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
Fair.
If you're only like deep dish is like what is it? I always mix up the name of the chocolate and the name of the pizza place. Is it Giordano's?
Yeah, Giordano's.
Yeah.
Ghirardelli is the...
Ghirardelli. That's what it is. Giordano's is not great deep dish as well. It's like the most commercialized deep dish you could get.
Oh, it's a huge
come on.
franchise, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, massive.
It does not take much though to make a good deep dish pizza, and I think it's just the sauce for me. I've had too many just like dry, just like half melted cheese on like thin crust pizza or something. And I want that sauce.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good hot take. It's the right kind of hot take. What is... I'm not familiar. So, the Rocky Rocco, oily overbreaded garbage. Anybody familiar with what Rocky Rocco is? I'm not familiar with that. Is that wrong? That I don't know what that is. I agree with you, Typo X-Wing. Absolutely, oily garbage. I trust your opinion.
I think I
looks
have
like-
one.
It looks like somewhere between like a Caesar's and like a Detroit style kind of.
Yeah.
Does that sound good or bad? I'm not familiar with
Domino's too much, or what is it? Little Caesars too much bread.
that. Yeah. Too much bread. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if this is a hot take, but we're gonna stay in the lane of food because it's just really easy to come up with. Like, you kind of get the ball rolling, you know.
Absolutely.
Something that I grew up with and loved was the Velveeta mac and cheese. It is the worst mac and cheese I've ever had. Like, I cannot eat that stuff anymore. It's just one of those things where your palate isn't refined and your taste buds are so different as a kid. I can't believe that, like, my dad loves to cook. My mom cooks often enough. I can't believe that was the stuff that I really liked. Just shocking. Because, man, that stuff coming out of, like, that bag, like, what? It's not even a bag. It's like it's just I don't even know what you describe it as. It's like, you just squeeze it out. It's like astronaut food, but, like, the worst kind. Like, Cheese Whiz for astronauts. But, like, if astronauts had no other option, they maybe will have that. So, here's the hot take: ice cream is not just for breakfast anymore. You can have it other times of the day.
Oh, sure. So my hot take was actually, Nick, very similar to what you were just talking about. I think my hot take is that the Madeleines that you buy in bulk are better than like the fresh ones. I don't know, every fresh Madeleine that I bought either from like a pastry shop or like a Starbucks that are like hot and steaming, I have never really liked them as much as the pre-made ones that I buy at like Safeway or Trader Joe's, and I'm not really sure why, but I guess that's my hot take, is that the pre-made stuff that can sit out for like 6 months before going bad is better than like the freshest of the fresh.
Just the way it works, it's the way the world rotates sometimes, you know.
Right.
This is what it is. That was a great edition of Hot Takes. Just one more time. Hot Takes. I love it. That was good. There's good stuff. Giving some love to the deep dish, Will. We here in Chicago appreciate you. There's no reason to hate it, guys. It might not be your favorite pizza, but like, back off! Back off! Leave it alone. Leave it alone. All right, now it's time for guest rapid fire, and Will's the guest, so that means it's time to ask him a bunch of questions, and he has to stumble over his words to try to answer as many as he can the fastest. So we give you 45 seconds. Okay. The most that have been answered are 12 questions so far. I do change them up a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I do change them up too depending on who is with us. So let me get the questions ready, and then I'll start our timer.
I am ready.
All right. I have the questions here. And good enough. All right. Let me switch over.
My fingers are ready.
Yeah?
I'm gonna count on my fingers because we haven't gotten more than what I think the most we had was 12 last time, right?
Yeah.
14,
yeah.
Maybe?
Count for us. All right. Here we go. It's time. So I'm gonna start our timer. 3, 2, 1. All right, Will. When was the last time you've shaved?
2 weeks ago.
You like hiking or biking? So you had to
hiking.
Choose. Favorite Star Wars planet?
Jeddah.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Least favorite faction in X-Wing?
Resistance.
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Pasta or pizza?
Pizza.
Best song to jam out to?
Oh man, jam out to? Party Rock.
Best pilot in X-Wing?
Wedge.
Favorite non-sci-fi movie?
Non-sci-fi? Stranger Than Fiction.
All right, and the last one here is your favorite Hawk pilot. This is one that Deslin asked.
Oh, it's
favorite Hawk. Torkel Mux all day. You got to 11. So 12 seems to be the one to beat.
I cheated though, because Stranger Than Fiction is clearly.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a minute, but
I was thinking of the one, and not that one, the one where
just say it's fantasy. It's fantasy. It's like it's sci-fi. No, it's fantasy.
It's not science though. There's no science in it. It's all magic.
Yep.
That's fine.
So,
if there's no science, then you need science for the science part of the science fiction. So you're safe there. All right, so the next question would have been, what is your favorite season of the year? Are you a spring, summer, fall, winter guy?
Man, I think it's winter. Just because there's no bugs or anything. I feel like it's not like wet as well. Like I know it's snowy, but like
the humidity is the worst. It's so bad.
Yeah, I don't like being hot and buggy. That's like the worst. The worst.
Hot and buggy. Just the worst. All right. Sometimes these stingers there, guys, just like OBS like chokes it, like throttles it, and it just like, so it's fine. Just pretend it was a smooth transition and we'll get on with our day. All right. The next topic is time for Star Wars lore. Oh yes. So we had a recommendation from James from our Discord to talk about Inferno Squadron. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to talk about Inferno Squadron. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, cool. Everyone's set up. I actually, believe it or not, guys, I set up this scene blindly because OBS wasn't showing me the outlines, but I got it perfect. So I'm very proud of myself. So Inferno Squadron, actually, there's... all members in Inferno Squadron exist in X-Wing, but we're going to talk about their origins before talking about their impact in the game that we know and love. So, I actually learned a few things going back and doing some research here. Inferno Squadron is an Imperial Special Forces commando unit commanded by Iden Versio during the Galactic Civil War. And Inferno Squadron was first commissioned to infiltrate and destroy the Dreamers, an extremist group composed of former members of Saw Gerrera's partisans that were not present with Saw when he died on Jeddah. This happened after the... Oh, sorry. They were created after the Battle of Yavin. So after Saw died, after the Battle of Yavin, it consisted of 4 members, even though you only know 3 in the video game that debuted Inferno Squadron, Battlefront 2, 2017, EA, aka the Loot Box Edition. So Captain Iden Versio, the father of Iden, kind of led Iden's units. Also featured agents Gideon Hask, Sane Marana, the one that we don't see in Battlefront 2, and Del Miko. So after Gura's death on Jeddah, during the destruction of Jeddah City, the remaining partisans scattered, and while some of them were killed, the remainders formed a group living off Guerrera's dream by calling themselves the Dreamers. Save the dream! Save the rebellion! Is it Save the Rebellion, Save the Dream? It is, right? I got it backwards, didn't I?
I can't remember.
I think it's Save the Rebellion, Save the Dream. You guys correct me. Anyways, long story short, they were created to infiltrate and destroy the rest of the Dreamers, and that's exactly what they did. They basically set Aiden up to seem like she was a operative for the rebels by having the Empire, quote unquote, capture her, and then tricking the Dreamers into rescuing her, and then having the Empire later, quote unquote, detain her. So it was basically, she was like a double agent or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, that's kind of the extent of Inferno Squadron. There is a book out there that I'm not too privy to. I have not read it. If anybody here has read the book, let me know. Saw died at Scarif. Saw Gerrera did not die at Scarif.
So you mentioned,
he did not do that.
Yeah, I think Twitchy5x5 got it just backwards.
Saw died. Jeddah collapsed on him. Do you remember that? He like pulled his like asthma thing off, and he was like, "All right, let's go, bitches!" And he dies. That's how Saw dies. Very memorable scene. Go ahead, Drew.
No, that was it. I just you even mentioned it in your speech right after he died on Jeddah. They went and reformed the thing. So
yeah. And in Star Wars X-Wing, they're actually, so I think it's really interesting that we got characters introduced to the new canon. Ooh, my camera is blacked out. Sorry, guys.
It couldn't take. It was like, God.
I know, it's like, shut up. We don't care about Inferno Squadron. All right, one second. There I'm back.
Like
that's a first. So Aiden, it has to do with canceling damage. If a friendly ship 0 to 1 would, I think it's just if suffer any damage, you can spend her 1 charge and cancel. Yeah, if you do prevent that damage. And then Del Mico is if there's a damaged ship attacking somebody at 0 to 1, they can reroll. The defender can reroll. And then Gideon is if there is a ship that's damaged that he is attacking, he gets an extra attack die. So Aiden was the one that was like probably the most balanced between the two of them. She was fierce, but she was also kind of a soft spot, so it makes sense that she has a support ability. Gideon was very intense, just a total Imperial fanboy, so naturally he's much more about like brute force, so his ability in X-Wing makes sense. And then Del Mico is purely like he's the nicest of the bunch, and he's the defensive nature of his ability in X-Wing I think is pretty thematic as well. Yeah, I think X-Wing actually did a better job fleshing out these characters than the game did. Will and I talked about, playing this campaign, and it has an interesting premise. The characters are unique, but unfortunately, the story arc, it all just kind of happens very fast. The inciting incident versus the third act, it all is combined in like 2 missions at the end. It's all shoehorned together, so just doesn't really work the way people expected it to, but they at least gave us a campaign. The first Battlefront from EA didn't have single-player campaign. And yeah, what do you guys think about Inferno Squadron?
My wife loves them. This was the only squad that she would play in 2.0 for the longest time. And we were going to play a game with the new road rules, actually, the other day. And we just moved. And I'm sitting down with my wife, and I'm like, all right, got my list together, right? Let's do it. And she was like, okay, and turned around and immediately turned back to me and went, all my stuff is in storage. And I was like, no.
Oh, no.
So we didn't get a chance to play, but she loves Sane, Marana. She loves Aiden and Gideon. And those were the only ships that she flew. So she didn't even know that when Battlefront came out, there was a story behind them. So, like, we watched the entire campaign. It was like 40 minutes of cutscenes because she was so into it. And it was, so Inferno Squadron is very special to me because it is the introduction that my wife really wanted.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's pretty sweet. Do you have it? Can you top that, Will?
No. No, I was just going to ask you. You kept talking about the 3, but who is Sane Marana then?
Yeah, so I have to do a separate. I have to look her up separately because there wasn't too much about Sane. They just talked about her role in the infiltration of the Dreamers, but they didn't talk about. She died in a dogfight before Battlefront 2 happened, from what I understand. If anybody has any more about her.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
okay.
she's kind of the mystery. I just think it's weird to me. I'm like, why does she exist if you have the three of them? And there's like, if you're going to have one outlying, like you might as well have more that have died that were a part of Inferno Squadron, just that there's just like one. And then they put her in X-Wing too. So you're just like, where was she? What happened to her? It's like, well, you never see her. You just don't know. But her ability, I mean, I didn't talk about it because she wasn't in the game, but if you roll crits naturally, guys, if you roll like a legend, I mean, Saint Marana is a pretty fun ship to use because you just slip damage cards under people's hull. It's a good time.
It's my wife,
yeah,
man.
Saint. Let me do a little research here. If I can pull up anything on Saint Marana.
I mean, she only is mentioned in Battlefront 2, is what it said, and she is in the audiobook of Inferno Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's the book, like Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Inferno Squadron.
Which I might get that and read it.
That's interesting, Deslin. Deslin says, from his understanding, Inferno was compromised and Sane got herself killed by Iden to prove their loyalty, probably to the Empire.
I saw something about their mission being compromised, but I didn't see anything about Sane dying. Early career, study at the Imperial Academy. Cool. Infiltrating the Dreamers. I'm trying to see anything about her and Iden.
Interesting.
There's a lot to read through here, so that's why I'm trying to see.
As Nick is walking through this, I can ask Will and I can ask the chat too. Have any of you guys gone up against Sane? And how many ships has she killed with just her crits alone? So we're basically talking Z95s and A-Wings. But
so supposedly Saint Marana committed suicide. So Iden Versio was given a vibroblade and told to interrogate Marana, but Marana acted swiftly, lunging at Iden and impaling herself on the vibroblade. I mean, a vibroblade. So maybe it was an accident, like she didn't know she had a vibroblade, but like...
or she died so that Iden wouldn't... Well, no, because Iden was totally...
She died and she said, for the Empire.
I see.
So it was deliberate. It was deliberate. So yes and no, like, you know, what Deslin was saying, but it seems like it was on her terms. Very interesting. So yeah, it's Inferno Squadron. If you guys haven't checked out the single player for Battlefront, it's just visually stunning and it's pretty cool. I would check it out and try it. It's not the best campaign, but it's, you know, it's pretty interesting. I'd check it out. And yeah, that is what we have for Star Wars lore. And now, folks, it's time to get on to the topic that I think a lot of people seem to love to talk about, which is Star Wars X-Wing. It's a game that I just started playing a couple days ago, actually.
Oh yeah,
so
how's that going for you?
It's something about new rules, I don't know. So X-Wing time. All right, guys. So here's what I want to do for this segment here. First of all, let's talk about the new first player test rules. So essentially, before you set up, you roll 3 dice. Crit results count first, then eyeball results, hit results. Each player rolls 3 dice. And then after you set dials every turn, you will roll those 3 dice again each, and you will tally who has the most crits, eyeballs, hits in that order. And that person is first player, whoever kind of wins that roll off. So basically, they're trying to make first player fluid change throughout the game. My question is, let me change the poll really quick to our poll for X-Wing. My question is, was this something that we felt like was a problem after the announcement that they were getting rid of bidding? Do we feel like we needed to take one step further? So the question for the poll for the audience, was first player the biggest issue X-Wing was facing, or was it one of the biggest? There are 3 options. No, yes it was. No, but it needed to happen. So, Will, let's start with you addressing that question. What do you think?
Okay. Let me just rephrase it here so I can answer it correctly. Was first player the biggest issue? Oh my. In X-Wing. Oof.
Because to clarify, sorry, Will, real quick. It seems like with this rules change, it seemed like it was one of the biggest issues. I think that's like some context. Go ahead.
Sure. To me, I would say no. It was definitely up there in the, like, I don't know, top 3 or top 4 or something like that. It definitely was a problem. I guess I'll wait to elaborate further, though, till I hear what you guys have to say.
Sure.
Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, so I've been playing the game a long time, and is first player really that big of a problem? I do really agree with Will on this one. Like, there's always going to be a first player when playing the game, right? There's not like none of us are going to be a first player as we're playing, so it has to happen. Or at least someone being a first player has to happen. Having said that, it was abusable, and I definitely think that something needed to be done. I'm not sure if all of the little micro changes and then of course the big one really ended that. As we'll clearly talk about, because I have things to talk about too.
There goes my camera again. Sorry, guys.
But,
it's overeating, I guess.
Oh, you're all
Go
good.
ahead,
It just looked at you and it was like, motherfucker, you are hard to look at. So that's it just shut itself off. I'm sorry, Nick, I love you. You're beautiful. Get your beautiful face back, please.
I'm back.
But no, I agree with Will. I think, and I just voted too on it. I think no, but it needed to happen. Like, something needed to be done. And I'm glad that AMG is trying with the micro changes. The biggest thing, well, no, never mind. We'll talk about it. That's my hot take.
I think so. It's interesting, like, being around a lot of people playing the game. You know, we've all been to several events. Will, you play competitively. You consider yourself to be a competitive player. And I never got the idea that, like, even bidding, that was something that really drove people crazy. That, like, that kind of, like, gave them a sour taste. Although I still, looking at, like, 25-point bids, like, you know, Guri Fen, but when Boba Fen, like, that stuff absolutely can kind of ruin people's experiences. And I think AMG looking at things is like, how can we make things more new player, more casual player friendly, even in tournament settings? How can we get those people to maybe go to an event, assuming they want to support OP? I'm going to assume they do because it makes money. Let's just say they do. But I think this was like, it was like, you have a step in changing this, and then you have a leap. And I feel like this was a big leap that they took without kind of gradually changing the way we operate with first player. I mean, there goes my camera again. I'm going to talk, and then I'll turn my camera back on and let it cool down. Essentially, I just think that this is something... how do I word this? I think I like the idea of randomizing first player. I just think that we didn't really get any opportunity to see how it works and experiment with anything in the rulebook yet, because even what GSP's been using, that's not in the rulebook. So, like, we kind of, and then they float this idea out there. I feel like we took a big leap without taking that first step. Those are my thoughts.
Yep, and I did want to talk about that really briefly. I don't know if we want to dive into it. It's not like a whole issue. It's just that I learned for the first time once AMG came out with this and they said, we're thinking about changing things, right? We're thinking about implementing this. What do you guys think? I met a lot of people, especially online, who weren't actually aware that X-Wing has a tournament rules packet and then a normal rules packet of, like, how to play. So a lot of people were really confused, thinking like, oh, is this official? Like, if this is actually happening? And then other people were like, no, you know, they're just trying it out. But I do feel like, and of course we talk about this all the time, AMG, with so few people working for them, has issues of, like, really sort of telling the community, like, what exactly is going on and what is happening. And so it gets lost in translation. Like, for example, when I learned about random order before dials, random order after dials, I thought it was official. I thought it was 100% done, run and done. And then I watched the stream and I was like, oh, they're actually just testing it. Like, wait a minute. And then, of course, there was the explosion, so.
Yeah, right. I mean, sorry, I had to switch to my shitty camera, but we at least have a camera right now. I think my battery, there's something going on with my battery. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're using your camera right now? Oh, it'd be a shame if something were wrong with it.
Nick, you look like me now. Come on, man. Our guest should have the best camera, and he's got the best camera right now.
It was a calculated decision. My biggest problem has been the lack of clear communication. Yes. So that's one thing that, whether you like the change or not, AMG needs to do a better job at being thorough and being more professional with how they communicate with us. It's like, look, it's good that you respond to Facebook messages, but if that's how we're going to get big information, that's so unacceptable. Like, come on, guys. Please. Like, I mean, I understand that, Drew, we've talked about it. AMG, they're not in a position to have, they don't have a ton of resources. The people that work on this game that we love, I mean, we respect them and we should respect them. I mean, they're working on the game that we love and they're working very hard, but they're not getting paid very well and there's not many of them. So, I mean, should they be better at communication? Absolutely. Can they be? I don't know. Who knows how stretched thin they are? I mean, it really, that is a factor. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking here about the rules, and I just think that AMG hasn't taken enough appropriate steps to get to no X-Wing before making drastic, fundamental, game-changing changes. This is like Dion, Will, Ryan, Marcel were talking about last night for the Gold Squadron podcast. They talking about this is no matter what, if you like it or dislike it, this is a fundamental change in the game that no one expected. I don't think anyone expected there to be random player order. Like, you know, a week ago, if you would have asked me about it, I'd be like, that's super random. I didn't, you know, but no pun intended, but like, why would they need to do that? So a part of us are looking at it like, was this necessary? The other part of it is like, why not? So I think I'm in the pro random player order camp, but I'd like to be able to know who is first player while making my decisions, while utilizing the strategy component of the game, which is choosing how you move, right? That's a big part of it. So, Will, you want to piggyback off of that?
Yeah. That's a couple things that I want to touch on. I mean, I don't want to say I'm just bash AMG, but I do think that this rabbit hole does go a lot deeper than I think they might initially realize, because you mentioned it before, like Guri and Finn, right? As a two-ship build, we've seen it before of just like two supernatural Jedis as well. Could just be like a build, right? Just crazy fast aces who absolutely are utilizing the board state information to affect things like their dial and positioning and things like that, right? Yeah. But those were viable in a world where they could guarantee moving last. And now once they can't, like they took away advanced sensors from Guri, right?
Right.
Which I think is probably the better call, because it changed her dial with like the 1, 2, 3, 4.
It like she could be literally anywhere.
Yeah, to a dial and 8. Every dial she set had actually 8 different maneuvers on it between the barrel rolls and boosts and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. So I am more interested to find out like how these random rules, random, not like random, you know what I mean? How these random rules actually will affect some of these pilots, and then because it devalues some pilots, they should actually then be cheaper, right? And then now that they're cheaper, how does that balance out? So I think it creates more of a I wouldn't say problem, but more work that they have to do. Like, and I hope that the like points that they have changed are like thinking ahead already about this. Like, and that's my only fear, of just that they're like, well, here's the new random player order, but like essentially like it would be a shame to see those new rules released but not have any points associated with them, because I think that fundamentally some of these pilots live or die by going second. It's the reason they have high initiative.
That's true.
You're exactly correct. Exactly correct.
Why would you feature double reposition in the game if it wasn't, you know, a part of, you know, if it wasn't intended to be utilized at a high initiative? You know, you structure the game on so many different mechanics like that, like what Soontier can do, right? And I just want to go back even to Guri, which in the hands of the right player, like Phil GC, for example, comes to mind. Someone that knows what they're doing with that list. It can be absolutely brutal. But I have not seen that list do the most spectacular things at the highest level. Like, we're talking like the toppest of top cut. Like, it hasn't been so good. Like, okay, Nantex was a huge problem because it was always everywhere. But like Guri, Fen, you might have one or two special players that just do really well with it, but it was such a gamble and such a risk that a lot of people were turned away, but just those mere facts. So like, I'm not arguing for Guri keeping the sensor slot. I'm not arguing for bidding here, but I just think that there's always like, there's a little like give and take with even those cases. Even Boba Fen was beatable enough, but again, it's good that they took Maul away from Boba. There are things that we should do to adjust things and make those changes.
You bring up a great point with that. The Boba Fett is that the Slave 1 title. Like, if you're first player, Slave 1 title means nothing. Because why are you changing your dial now? Right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe, okay, I guess something maybe happened in the system phase. But, like, it's only good if you're changing your dial in reaction to other board state information.
Right. So, really quick, let's give a show of hands here. As is, who is absolutely okay with these being the rules going forward? Show your hand if you are okay with that.
I'm gonna jump in real quick. I think you and Will definitely hit down upon this. Playing with these random orders but after dials, it changes the entire game. You can no longer fly Soontir around the off by himself because their initiative 6 might get first player suddenly and then have the jump on you, right? Like, your swarm can no longer go straight in, full well knowing that you can shoot first and move first. You'll always be able to block the shot or whatever, right? So, and I think that this is a larger question that a lot of people aren't talking about, is that the entire game is changed, and I think that is also what is very much alienating people, because they're used to having, we know the initiatives, we know who's moving where, or at least who's going first. Having said that, though, I'm gonna raise my hand because playing with these, I played 2 games with it so far, and I know 2 is not very much, but playing with it has made the game far more fun for me. But of course, as you guys saw the stream with Nick that I had, and then I played someone else yesterday, and spoiler alert, Nick, I didn't get initiative the entire game.
That's a problem. That's a problem too.
Nope. Yep. He 100% rolled crits the entire time. Dude, we had a third party person watching us. We were laughing. It was so funny. But yeah, in the long run, it didn't matter to me, and I got my ass handed to me, and there was one turn where it mattered, and even then it was freaking Zori, so I had action economy even if I bumped, right, with her ability. So did it really matter? It didn't. It was very interesting. So I like the changes. I think it's fun, but I mean, it's got to take people to try it. And I do think it could have been implemented in a better way, easier way. There's tons of ways that people are talking about. So
so no, you're fine. I mean, this is why we're here. But I saw Will kind of raise his hand a little bit. Would you guys be okay? Imagine a situation where they said, you know what, we're going to change it so that it's decided before dials are set. Would you feel like that's a cop-out, or would you feel like that's a fair adjustment to make to those? Go ahead.
It's the same game with extra steps, which I don't like.
I'm willing to do whatever. I mean, I'm an amateur game designer, but I'm certainly not in the caliber that they are with their experience. So I'm up for whatever. Like,
that's the right attitude, honestly. It might hate to hear it, but that's the right attitude.
I mean, if you've been following my rants about X-Wing, I have been like always about like going up to 200. Like, even I think like the deepest bid I had with like a competitive list was like 2 points or something like that, 2 or 3 points. Like, that was my deep bid on Imperial Aces. So like it's a little bit gratifying to see that like everybody is now forced to play the way that,
You're not so deeply affected either by it.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've never.
Yeah. I mean,
My XTC list, they had to pry my 1 point upgrade off of me to give me a 1 point bid in the like the second half of it or whatever. I was like, I don't care. But see, here's the thing though. That because of that's always been my mindset. I've always had the understanding that ships need to be able to move first or have like a strategy for moving first. Like, so example, Finn, right? We were talking a lot about like Gary and Finn. Finn doesn't care if he's moving first. Like, he's still got a bunch of defensive modifiers. So if you arc dodge him, like whatever, like he'll probably survive the shot, right? It won't be too detrimental. It'll hurt his offense a lot, sure, but I think that's it's one of the reasons why I like Wedge in the X-Wing so much, is that he just doesn't care. Like, whatever. Like, you want to move first, you want to move second. Like, as long as I can shoot, I'm happy with that. And he's not really out there acing, you know?
Right. And I want to go to the chat really quick. We'll hop back in here. Warbot Zero earlier saying, did they do play testing to say this is better than just make the changes on the fly? From my understanding is they play tested a version of this, but this is more of on the fly final version that wasn't tested as much, is what I've heard from people from sources that have play tested this. That's what I've heard. So I can't confirm that, but it seems like they've made adjustments to what they were originally testing. And then Run's saying, I still believe bid plus deficit scoring is the way to go. Honestly, I'd be down for like a game mode, like a version. If they added a third mode, there's like extended, there's hyperspace, or maybe they replace hyperspace with this mode where you can bid, but you also lose all those points. I'm really fascinated with trying that out too, because that to me is really kind of interesting. Like, I'm like,
see, I'm like, my opinion on the thing, like, everyone's got their wish for Finland or whatever,
Right.
but the way I always thought it would go was that we would have deficit scoring, but in response to that, the losing player would be second player. So when you did take a bid, you're like bidding for like the first part of the game for deployment, for asteroid placement still, right? But because you gave up those, even if it's just 1 point, you start the game as second player then. And then it's not until they score points on you it's not until you score points on them that they would then switch to second player. And I always thought that would be a way to balance out the thing of just like, oh, well, second player always has the advantage. Well, give it to the losing player then.
yeah.
Like, if you can win the game, if you could be up on points, and then you had to now finish the game as first player now as well, I think that would be really interesting. But like,
Very cool.
I agree with the needing to find that balance. I like that idea too. I think I like that idea a little bit better, actually.
Right, but it's not like, as Drew, you said too, it's just adding more rules that really just aren't necessary, right?
Some of it, yeah.
Well, that's how a lot of people feel about rolling. I mean, to me, when you if you just write this on paper, every round you roll 3 dice each for first player. People are like, that's a lot of like, I'm just rolling extra dice all every round. It doesn't take that long. But Drew, you know this too. Yeah. Time is precious, especially in competitive environment. If I lose by a minute, it was because I spent 10 seconds every round or whatever total figuring that out, or I had to re-roll 2 or 3 times in one round. I mean, that's brutal.
Yeah. So, question for you, Will. If they did implement this, if like this was overnight done, do you think they should add like 5 minutes to the total game time? So it'd be an hour and 20-minute game, just to help get around some of that dice rolling, so the game is still about an hour and 15 minutes.
No, I don't think so. From what I understand, like, because you're not modifying the dice, because you're because it's just like a simple check, right? Just like who rolled the crit. It shouldn't take too much time. And I think Marcel pointed out too that like it's an interesting way to declare that you're done with planning, It was just like you're holding dice in your hands, ready to roll.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So there's not really a lot of confusion of like, oh wait, like I didn't have my last dial set or something like that, you know?
Right.
Or someone's just sitting there. Are you ready for the system phase? Are you ready for the system phase?
Yeah.
So but I don't think it will take extra time. Obviously, if you're trying to slow play, you know, you could drop a couple dice on the ground or whatever, and you could eat up time doing anything in the game. So,
unfortunately, yeah.
One thing I don't like the way it is now, but you can get me to deal with it. But if they start to tinker with the idea of adding things that influence this role, I am hard out. Absolutely not.
That was my next
I'm
question
out.
for Will. My next question for you, Will, was do you think they should start adding pilot abilities and upgrades that somehow mess with the ability to roll these 3 dice with initiative?
What you're describing is a bid.
Right, thank you. It's the same exact thing. It is so counterintuitive. It's like, why would you? But maybe, I mean,
if it was like a one-time use card or something, and you could just be like, guarantee your second player or something, or like choose the order, I guess.
But it just takes the randomness out of it. Like, it's supposed to be random, right?
I don't think they would design a card to do that, just because in like objectives or something, it might not matter.
Yeah.
Like in an objective where like the rebels or the attackers, right, are always
different
have
game
to be
modes.
first player.
Yeah.
And I will appreciate that they're what they announced anyways, the wording of it is precise enough to be specific, if that makes any sense.
Sure, like you said yesterday or last night for different game modes,
like,
more than one player, like all that stuff.
Right.
Or 2 players, more than 2 players, yeah.
Right, it's broad enough to cover almost any way you're playing X-Wing, which is surprising. I didn't see that at first, but I think that's smart.
I think what I would have really liked is if we got this exact same result, like this is where we're at, but if we got some OP, some like for AMG, like they're like, we're going to roll this out again, and we're going to take a look at what we have in front of us now, because there is online play. Dion's done a wonderful job being a good ambassador for online X-Wing, but like if you choose to not use that data, there is no data. So, you know, I think it really comes down to AMG's perspective on things. I mean, the same thing with the Nantex too. Like, remember when the Nantex, they changed the Nantex emergency points changed, but they were looking at online data. So, like, is AMG paying more attention to the way it is now? I mean, you're right, because COVID is just going to be around for a while.
But isn't this the same conversation that we had about The Last Jedi? How, like, people were okay.
Oh God, I'm bringing The Last Jedi into this.
With a
3-hour stream now.
With Luke coming to the conclusion that he did in The Last Jedi, but if we had some build up to it, people would have been okay with it. But because we got it slap right in your face, everyone was like, "No!" Yeah. It's so funny that I could, like, I'm sitting there, I was like, "Oh, I could just switch a few words and it's the same conversation." That's hilarious, but
amazing. Every word you just said was wrong. It's one of my favorite quotes. One of my favorite quotes from Luke. I think bottom line, we're gonna move past X-Wing now, guys. But bottom line here is there's no certainty as if this is final, right? They could add more to it. They could take it away. It could be for something else. It could be for anything, everything. I would just be careful assuming that this is 100% final, just because there's no confirmation of that. Until we get confirmation, there is no confirmation. So apparently they're going to stream their X-Wing stream. They're resuming it or rescheduled it for Thursday is what I heard. You'll have to double check with AMG, but they do plan on, like, I would hop into that stream and see what's what, like, see what they have to say, and be nice, be respectful, if you can, please. And also, Flying Mist, thanks for that follow.
I'm gonna watch that stream just for the Twitch comments.
Yeah, oh my god. You might have to turn them off or follow. Subscriber only.
Excuse me, I'm gonna be there with Ryan Farmer, trying to batten down the hatches there. That's what we're gonna be doing.
Oh man.
Oh, us road warriors. I thought that was so good. I love that.
But yeah, I mean, if there's no initiative overlap, it's not even gonna matter. You're just kind of rolling dice for the sake of it.
And Will, so that was my final question for you, sir. Sorry. what do you think about if the initiative, I mean, obviously with system phase and other abilities, it could matter, but there are some lists where you walk up and you're like, oh, nothing overlaps and there's no issues. Do you still roll?
No, that's like my only. That's the only hill that I will die on. Is that I will refuse to roll those dice if it does not matter.
If it does not
So,
matter, excellent.
Sure, if we have like start of engagement phases, I guess. Like
Right, but even then, yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Cool.
They would really have to overlap, like Hollow and like Paylob or something. I was like, okay,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
we really do
This
need to
actually
know.
matters. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're like, I'm not rolling off to know whose Warm Tactics triggers first. Like, no,
Exactly.
we're not doing
Exactly.
that.
So, speaking of Star Wars, we're gonna move on from X-Wing. By the way, guys, that appreciate the discussion. I think it's good to be open-minded about this, and everyone that's just like, it's not final, but the sky's not falling. I think, you know, if enough people dislike something or it doesn't work out, it won't work out. That's usually the way I think of it. Is if it just doesn't work out, and it doesn't work out so many times, then it's not going to work out. And if it's fine, then it's fine. And it ends up working out, and then that's the way it is. But, like, you know, this is a business. They need to sell product. If a lot of people are, you know, going to dump the product, then they're going to go out of business. So if this truly is bad for the game, like a lot of people think it is, then it's going to end the game, and they don't want that. So they're going to avoid that as best as they can. I think AMG is conscious of that. That they were given this responsibility. Let's see how it goes. But anyways, the Book of Boba Fett. We got our first real good look at a trailer for the Book of Boba Fett. So we're gonna kind of break that down a little bit. There isn't a ton of crazy stuff that happened in this trailer, but there is still some good stuff to analyze, I think. And I do have the trailer as a reference kind of playing in the background. By the way, that spider looks super fake. Like, that spider droid is not a good look. It was like Minecraft.
Dude, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, is this like a fan-made thing? And then it was the real thing, and I'm like, no, what happened?
Yeah, they gotta fix that one, because that's worse than the CG Leia. So, but anyways, so the Book of Boba Fett, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this a technically gonna be a mini series, or are we talking like a full rollout like The Mandalorian was? Are we getting like more than 6 to 8 episodes here for this first season?
What did I counted them.
You had the names earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's eight episodes.
Okay. So it's pretty much a mini series, I would say, unless they're like hour-long episodes. Then you could just say it's a show.
If you watch the behind the scenes for Mandalorian Season 2, they mentioned this with Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez actually filmed that Boba Fett fight sequence with his kids in their backyard using action figures because he was so excited to get Boba Fett on screen. You should watch it. It's amazing. But anyways, so Robert Rodriguez, big Star Wars fan, huge, knows all the history of Boba Fett and all this and that, and was like, oh my god, they're asking me to put Boba Fett on the screen and make him as badass as I think he should be. So he went all out for it. They turned a 3-minute fight sequence into a 9-minute fight sequence. Anyways, where I'm going with this is, after they filmed it, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni came to Robert and said, hey, we want Boba Fett to have his own series. And we want you to be a part of it. And Robert Rodriguez was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. And the fact that Tamora Morrison was willing to do this is actually pretty cool, too, because he was retired. Yeah. He was retired doing, like, construction work in New Zealand.
Absolutely, yeah. So I definitely think it's going to be, we might get more Season 2, Season 3, like, it'll be a thing.
Yeah. So. I wouldn't be opposed to this just kind of being a one and done, just because of kind of where, like, Tamora is, and just, who knows what the plans are for the other people involved in this project, right? If this is something where they just kind of want to start doing things like the Book of Boba Fett, and then they move on to, oh my god, what's the name of the bounty hunter that is with him? Fennec. Then it's like something with Fennec, and then it could be something with Bo-Katan, and they could keep doing that. What's up?
I have a Star Wars hot take.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Star Wars hot take. Fennec Shand is way cooler than Guri.
But like, Guri doesn't have screen time.
Well, yeah, but like they're the same character. They're
sure. Well, Fennec Shand is much more politically correct too. You know,
and yes, and one of them has sex and kills things, and the other one just kills things and is badass with it, right?
Yeah, one was built,
we don't
for
know
free
that.
will.
That could be a Book of Boba Fett spoilers.
It very well might, but seeing Fennec, I was just talking to my wife about it the other day. I was like, dude, she's like she's like a real version of Guri. And my wife was like, who the fuck is Guri? And I was like, oh, because she doesn't know any of the comics or anything. So, no, it was just funny. But anyways.
Here would be some cool speculation if we kind of got even just a hint of him escaping the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. If there's they allude to it. Or they show one part of him get I would be super into that. I'm still kind of processing the fact that Boba Fett is they brought him back. I still can't really believe they did that. I love it so much, but I'm still processing that. So this is all, I'm excited. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be the same level as Mandalorian. I actually have one more poll for you guys here. Actually, if you guys think this will kind of live up to how we feel about Mandalorian, I think this is going to be a great compliment to The Mandalorian. I think it's going to feel the same in a lot of areas, but ultimately The Mandalorian, I think, is it's like what Rogue One is to the episodic films, right? It's like a great potential standalone. It could be more than one season, but let's say it's going to be one season. Obi-Wan is supposed to be one season. These could be great standalones that complement bigger projects. The Mandalorian I consider to be like a bigger project. So
how well versed are you guys in the Boba Fett, the original now Legends Boba Fett comics, and what he did after Return of the Jedi?
Not super well versed, I'll be honest.
Okay. Yeah. So long story short, he basically becomes the king of Mandalore. Because in the old extended universe, he was a Mandalorian. So I thought it was very interesting where he's it said he's gonna be the king of the crime world, but he rules over them as opposed to being a slave driver, sort of backhanded, stabbing the back kind of guy. And so I love the idea that Filoni and Jon Favreau have really sort of they're taking some of the cooler aspects of the extended universe comics and somewhat changing them, but keeping that same sort of vibe for the characters. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna stand up to it. But I do agree with you, Nick. Is there room for 2 Mandalorians? I think there's probably just gonna be one. Right. Yeah.
So I think so. The question in the poll was, will Book of Boba Fett be a positive follow-up to The Mandalorian? Absolutely, for me, it's 2. Yes. If you guys haven't voted, it just came up, so be sure to vote. Gauging from our last poll, which was the X-Wing poll, it seems like a lot of people are okay with changes just going back and referencing that. Okay with the changes, but they are iffy about the future of what that's going to look like. The how, yeah. They're okay with the what, but I think the how is really the question mark here. But yeah, I think we'd all agree that this is going to be a good show. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I'm just excited to we're getting away from the the innocent MacGuffin, if that makes sense. We saw it with Omega in Bad Batch, right? It's just such a trope now.
Yeah.
Just
the Dad Batch, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Dad Batch.
That show, that turned out good though, man. I was pleasantly surprised with how decent that show ended up being.
Me too.
Despite Omega being a part of it for almost the entire show.
But sorry, Will. Yeah, continue. You're totally right though. It's
it's just I don't have any other examples right now off the top of my head, but there's it's definitely a worn out trope of roughneck has to learn to love through an innocent, it was we get it.
Yeah.
And I think in case of the Bad Batch, it's to appeal to kids. Sorry to interrupt.
Right. No, I mean that makes sense, right? And to have a child that they can personify themselves as, if that's the right word.
Right. Yeah.
So that they have the children have a say in the story, right? And then Mandalorian, that's what's also interesting to me though, is that with Grogu gone in Mandalorian, where does that story go? How does that evolve?
Yeah.
So
don't be surprised if they try to have a cameo or something.
Man, I swear if Boba Fett gets an adorable pet that's in danger in the first episode, I'm gonna lose it.
Yep.
The show better start. It's gonna be black frame, and it's gonna be a hand. and like with a glove, it'll extend out. It'll be 3 attack dice. It's like roll for first player, and then it'll be like, then they'll roll. It'll be like, damn it again, and it'll be them like playing a like cool virtual version.
Some different, yeah.
That's I would if I had throwaway money, I would do that.
They're just
I would
sitting
make that.
around the sabacc table being like, "You're
Damn
always
it.
first player." It was like, "It's because I take the bid."
I
We don't allow bids.
I know, right? We don't allow. I was.
Oh, do you guys actually know how to play sabacc?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay, so you know that you roll the 2 dice if it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my competitive friends to play with it. Play me with it. With
They like
that rule, 'cause
steal
they-
each other's
they hated
hands.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought it was so dumb. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, guys, the Star
Yeah.
Wars. And like, no.
No.
Hilarious.
Yeah. This is when luck can really be fun. When you have good luck, it's like I'm just taking things from everyone else. All right, it's time to talk about dinosaurs. Drew Lugg's Dinosaurs
Alright.
is finally back.
I got. Oh,
You
sorry.
got the notes. You got the notes.
I got the notes. So I have 10 things to go over. I'm so sorry, Nick. I totally tripped over your shoes. I'm just so excited. So please introduce it, and then we'll.
Yeah, we're talking about the Ankylosaurus today, which was suggested by Joshua. Commented on our one of our YouTube episodes saying, "Talk about the Ankylosaurus." I'm like, okay. And then Will's like, "Oh, it's my favorite dinosaur," and Drew's also like, "That's my favorite dinosaur." So this kind of all worked out perfectly. So Drew, take it away, man.
Sure. All right. So Ankylosaurus is my favorite dinosaur. Will, do you want to go over why it is our favorite dinosaur? Because you said it earlier before we started.
It has armor and swings a mace. How cool can you be?
It's pretty sweet.
Hell fucking yeah. All right. So I've got 10 interesting facts about it, or facts about it, and of course, you know, a dinosaur being it's dead. A lot of these facts are around things around it, not actually it itself, but there's some stuff in there. So, first fact, it was named by a future military operative and a fur coat enthusiast. The dinosaur was found, Ankylosaurus was found by a paleontologist named Barnum Brown. Let me look up the actual name of the dinosaur. It was called Magniventris. A Magniventris. And it's kind of funny because this gentleman was named after a very famous magician who was very exuberant. And so he named the dinosaur in that sort of way. He was seen often wearing a top hat and a really long beaver skin fur coat that always went down to his knees, even when he was out in the middle of nowhere digging up dinosaur bones. So, in World War II, years and years and years later, he began gathering intelligence for the American Armed Forces in the war, and his second wife Lillian went on to write a book about him, a very entertaining memoir, they say, and the book is called I Married a Dinosaur, and it's about the two of them, which is pretty cute. Second fact, Ankylosaurus was covered in thick protective knobs, like this sort of like, you can see them on the photos here, the sort of like river rocks, like really smooth bony plates that were together. They were hard enough to stop that like banana-sized Tyrannosaurus Rex teeth coming into it from the creature, which is quite interesting. I think it's one of the only dinosaurs that has armor like that. But of course, its name not only means plated lizard. Is it plated lizard? Let me double check that real quick. Fused lizard, but the specific name also means great belly because its underside has absolutely no armor, which is quite funny. So yeah, you flip it on its back, it's like a turtle, right? Like, I don't know if they lived. I don't know if they could turn on. They had to have been able to, right? Some of them at least. Well, we'll get to that. The third fact, it belongs to a diverse group of heavily armored dinosaurs. And when I say heavily armored, there are some that have like spikes sticking out of their shoulders. There are some that have like horns coming out of their heads, but only shoulders, only heads, only tails, only hips, only back of the hips. It is so strange. There's at least dozens and dozens of these types of dinosaurs, and they're all different. They're all bigger, they're all smaller, like they're all their own individual genus of animal, which is kind of strange. The next fact, speaking of, for anyone who was ever thinking about getting intimate with these things, its tongue was theoretically quite muscular.
Oh my god, Drew.
Yep, apparently. So if you take a finger and gently press the area above your Adam's apple, you may feel a solid lump. This is a U-shaped object called the hyoid bone, which helps anchor the tongue to your body. these bones they're unusually large in the Ankylosaurus, suggesting that hefty, flexible tongues inhabited these creatures, which is kind of interesting.
The hefty tongue.
Hefty tongue, yep. And then, of course, Will, as we were just talking about with the mace, the fifth interesting or possible fact, Ankylosaurus' clubbed tail may have been strong enough to shatter Tyrannosaur bones. So we're talking getting through, like, tons and tons of, like, pounds of meat to, like, shatter hip bones and things like that. You could seriously cripple a
Well, there's a
predator
good, there we go. There's the tail just
Yep.
absolutely decimating a predator.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
Yeah, Navi, don't tongue a
Yeah.
dinosaur. Please don't.
I just
Yep.
love that Drew led that with, if you've ever thought about getting intimate with it.
Yeah,
like,
yep.
I like, how did he know? How does he read my mind?
You do what I mean. Hey, man, people will be people. Silly, but going a step further with all of this, some of the Ankylosaurus relatives have armored eyelids. Don't ask me why they have them, but they do, which is quite interesting. And then, of course, going back to all of the spikes, all of the subspecies, the seventh interesting fact, Ankylosaurus has been confusing artists for decades. You can look up hundreds of different artworks, and some of them are right, some of them are wrong. I will show you one that is quite strange.
Oh man.
Like, that one actually doesn't exist, but it's just a thing to show you guys that, like, yeah, people can get them mixed up because there's just so many different versions of them. The other fact, they have tiny teeth. I'm jumping through these last few because I want to keep going, but the last fact is my favorite. Ankylosaurus made a huge splash at the 1964-1965 World's Fair, a few years after it was discovered, because it is compared to other dinosaurs, it is one of the most unique. You see that shape, that outline anywhere, and you were like a kid, you knew exactly what it was, compared to any other dinosaur. And the last fact is the Ankylosaurus also inspired one of Godzilla's most beloved co-stars. And I will send you a picture of what Anguirus looks like right now. And so this was when Godzilla. So I don't know if you guys know anything about Godzilla. The first film is a Japanese drama set at the end of World War II, and a nuclear lizard comes. It's basically like the reliving of the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombings. The film was so popular that they wanted to make a sequel, and they decided, well, we're gonna need another creature for Godzilla to sort of like fight. And so they looked through the fossil record at the time, and they chose the Ankylosaurus, and they made this. Oh, did I copy it on there? Did I do it? Did I send it to you guys? I did. So they made this design for Anguirus, and he has been a staple in many Godzilla movies. And so I thought that I love dinosaurs, and then I was introduced to Godzilla, and so many of Godzilla's adversaries are based off of dinosaurs. It's just like it's a match made in heaven. So if you like dinosaurs, I suggest watching some Godzilla movies.
I love it. So it's pronounced Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus, yeah.
Ankylosaurus. All right, so don't tongue it. And if you need to kill it, you must flip it over on its back, because good luck with that plated hull on top. Very, very, very cool. That is Drew, and Drew likes dinosaurs. Will, you got anything to add about the Ankylosaurus? I think you're muted.
Oh, yep. Oh, did we lose you? Oh, you are muted. Yep.
I am muted. I don't know what's
There you
happening with my Discord. It freaked out. No, I love the Ankylosaurus, or how would you say it?
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus. Yeah, it's just like, it gives a lot of respect to the herbivores. You know, everybody gets a lot of love from the T-Rexes and the carnivores, but having a herbivore who's just like, was like, nah, I'm ready to roll. Like, I evolved with a weapon. What did you get? Like, that's crazy to me.
It's fascinating.
True. Yep, I love it.
It's really fascinating. I feel like if it was an X-wing ship, it'd be like a decimator.
Yeah, decimator, or
Sounds about right.
I mean, it's got the rear shot, right? Is there? And that was the other thing too. Is there a ship in X-wing? There isn't one. I mean, Wolf, I think, comes close. where the rear is almost better than the front, and Wolf in the Arc 170, maybe. No, it's I guess the fire spray, right? 3 out the front, 3 out the back.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is Boba Fett. Yeah,
Yep,
he's
5
Boba.
by 5 exactly.
Yeah,
He's
the
Boba
book
Fett.
of the book of Ankylosaurus.
The Book of Ankylosaurus. Yes.
All right, it is now time for the memes of the day. I need to update that graphic because it still says meme of the day. So I've picked a few. I've curated a few memes for us to look at tonight. All right, starting us off. It's not so much a meme. It's just it was Halloween. I thought this was adorable, so I had to put this up. Look at these. They're not even 2 years old. Triplets. The family dressed them up as hobbits.
Oh my god.
And they look amazing. I love the hair. It's just adorable. Very wholesome. And yeah, I thought it was too good not to share, especially since we again just celebrated Halloween. So anyways, now to the memes, the true memes. Here's our true first one. When he no longer talks to you but still watches all your stories. There's Michael Myers just stalking. Apparently Halloween Kills just came out. I have no interest in seeing it, but I'm sure it's pretty funny.
Oh, it generated a lot of backlash from the firefighter community, which is quite interesting.
Oh, who would have
yeah,
thought?
So
Did they roll for first player, the firefighters? Or?
no, they didn't. So apparently there was someone. So in real life, someone had called for hey, to report a burning building, and the firefighters showed up, and the person who had started the fire actually attacked one of the firefighters and killed them. Well, within the first 5 minutes of Halloween Kills, firefighters show up to the house that Michael Myers is trapped in. Spoiler alert for the end of the first movie, and the house is on fire. The firefighter reaches down, pulls him out of the fire, and he immediately kills the firefighter and kills all of them. And that, in and of itself, sparked this huge debate of like,
oh wow,
we want it cut from the movie. It needs this, da 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 da. And I feel like there is kind of something there, man. Like that really happened to someone, and that's something you want to see. But then again, I thought it was like, oh, shitty BS.
So the arsonist killed the firefighter trying to respond to the fire?
I think it might have been the arsonist. I don't know for certain, but yes, someone murdered a firefighter.
And it was on set or near set of this film is the connection?
No. Completely different. Completely different.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so it's just a really bad coincidence in a way too? Okay. Yeah. I got you.
Really bad coincidence, and it just brought up a good question of do we want to portray things that really happened, right? Because you always watch the movies and they're like, this is based on certain like realistic events, but like in the film it's different, right? So yeah, interesting stuff. Anyway, so
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's if there have been so many times where police officers have been killed in a movie, and that happens every day. So it's just
right.
So yeah. Anyways, moving back to the memes. You don't need to see my identification. 10 minutes later, to the slammer, Obi-Wan. you have been drinking under the influence. Force ain't gonna save you now. Mind tricks my ass. Next one. Help, I accidentally. Help, I am a fish. Help, I am under the water. Help, I accidentally built a Jeep. Oh my god, what have I done? Have I done it again? Oh gosh, I love it. That I saw that one today, so that's a late edition. Here's Luke from The Last Jedi.
That's a Google. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, what?
It's time for the Jedi to end. Also, The Simpsons and Walking Dead should probably wrap it up too. Simple, but a good meme. It's an older code, but it checks out. And lastly, you want to go see Dune, the movie about sand? The movie about fucking sand. Oh, Dune is making a big splash right now, even though there's, it's very sandy, no water, but still making a splash. And Anakin's not so pleased about it. He still does not like sand. You think maybe when he makes his appearance with Ahsoka, he'll mention sand, like for the fans? He'll say something about sand.
I feel like this meme could be the perfect first player, right? Oh, you want to play X-Wing? Oh yeah, we're gonna roll each round for first player. We're gonna roll for each round for first player. Like, I love this one. It's so funny.
Oh man, poor Hayden Christensen. You'll never live that down. They'll let him live it down.
I mean, we love it now, right? That movie. If you watch episode 1, 2, and 3, the entire movie, all of them are just memes. It's just meme after meme after meme after meme, because the writing is so bad, but like people love it now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Are you a prequel fan, Will? Do you like the prequels at all, or?
I think they're better than some of the original trilogy. There's a hot take for you.
Oh.
Yep, that's a hot take. That's a
One
hot
of the hot takes, Will, a couple episodes ago of the show, I talked about how Empire Strikes Back is overall fairly boring outside of the beginning and the end.
It is
It's a
my
slog.
least
Yeah.
favorite Star Wars movie, and I cannot believe that the hate Last Jedi got, but somehow Empire Strikes Back is
Well, you won't be able to convince many people of that argument, but I've been told that The Last Jedi is better than Empire Strikes Back. I think the writing for Empire and the overall effect it has on the trilogy is probably what makes people love it so much.
I mean, it's
slow.
It
It's a slow burn,
did more
man.
for world building for
Yes.
like any sequel ever. Maybe Back to the Future too.
Yeah.
But definitely in Star Wars, like it built so much world
It's
when
true.
it came out.
I mean,
But it's not a good movie in my
Yes.
opinion.
say Brute, Rise of Skywalker is the worst. Can we all agree that that is the worst?
Yeah,
We-
I was. Yeah,
I mean, it's just it is the worst, right? Like
It's
I don't know.
disappointing. I don't know. If
It's
the
definitely
worst. It is
disappointing.
disappointing.
So what would be a candidate for the worst then? Would it be like
it's
Attack of the
Empire.
Clones or
No, Empire.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
The worst. Has
Yep.
the worst lightsaber fight.
sorry, Will. We can't hear you. You're muted. All right, we're moving
Oh,
on.
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Whatever.
Yeah, the show's canceled, everybody. All right, and lastly, we're gonna do our giveaways really quick before ending the stream tonight. It is time for the
You know what time
giveaways.
it is? It's that giveaway time. Nick gonna give us some free
We got
shit.
16 people on, man. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, we're like Gold Squadron level. Honestly, we're way up there, way up there. But
I feel
16
like-
of my favorites are here right now, so I appreciate you guys all watching. I have some X-Wing stuff, and stickers. So here's the deal. Everybody that wins a giveaway tonight is going to get one of our stickers. Got a bunch here. I got some Jan Ors cards, and I have some Seismic Charge cards here on the back end. So 3 Jan Ors and 2 Seismics. And I'm just going to just type in the chat now. If you haven't already, I'll give you guys a second. We'll just roll through those, give those out, and then we'll be wrapping up.
Nick, the pills that I took today said I'd be way up there. That we'd be way up there. Yeah, so that's right.
Hey man, Tuesday night, you never know like the numbers you're gonna get. I'm always just happy that
Dude,
people
the
are
seismic
around.
cards, guys. Yes, the seismic
Yeah.
cards are so freaking cool. Nick was lovely enough to send
This
some
is
to me a
Jan.
long time ago.
Jan Oz.
Oh, the Jan Ors is super freaking cool too.
All right, so we're gonna start with Jan. So everybody gets a sticker with their win. All right, exclamation point win. Send me an email with what you won and your full address, por favor. Psionic Rain wins a Jan Ors card.
Whoa.
Saybrute wins a Jan Ors card. Wookie Barber wins a Jan Ors card. And for the seismic charges here, Matt B14 and Twitchy 5x5. All right, you guys all get one of those cards there and a sticker. Send me an email, exclamation point, can't speak, exclamation point win, just like Dion does. I just feel like it's just so simple. It just works, you know? Here I copy everything that Dion does, is what I do.
Will, this is a momentous occasion and you're here to witness it. This is the first time where we've had winners where all of the winners were different and people that hadn't received things before.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, also,
Cool.
it does it by who subscribes the most too, so like, or who is subscribed, so they'll win
See,
way
God,
more.
I didn't know that. Okay, now that
I can change that.
I apologize. I apologize.
Recently, I've dialed it down so it's even luck, just because I've noticed that there are a few people who are subscribed to us that win all the time. So I'm like, let's even it out a little bit. Let's roll those 3 dice and figure it out.
So yeah, I was gonna say, so there's no bid this time.
There's no bid. No bid. No bid. And as usual in 312 fashion, the most viewers show up here at the very end. So if you missed out tonight, we do upload our YouTube our videos here, our replays on YouTube, exclamation point YouTube, just it's 312 Squadron on YouTube. And I'll post a link in our Discord if you want to be a part of our X-Wing streams, or just be a part of the community. Go ahead and check that out. And Will, thank you so much, man, for being here. Hopefully you thought it was worth your time. It was great talking to you, man. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got the invite.
Yeah, anytime, of course. Top of the list, man. Top of the list. Drew, anything else? Both of you guys got anything to say before we head out? Check out Gold Squadron if you guys haven't already. Just kidding. You guys all come from Gold Squadron. But if for some reason you don't watch Gold Squadron.
She did make an appearance. She has done.
Aww.
Nice. Little pupper.
Little pupper.
Oh. My wife and I are trying to get a dog at the moment too, so we're like, oh my gosh.
They're
Will.
just outside. You know, you could just go find. You just go find one.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go to a shelter or anything. They're just hanging out loose in the city.
Very particular about the dog. No, it's all good. It's all good. I love it. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Both of you guys, hopefully you have a good night. Everybody remember, the sky's not falling. Things aren't final. And just a lot of things aren't final in life. You know what? Just roll with the punches. Things are going to be A-okay. The Ankylosaurus, do not try to be intimate with it, as Drew has said. You might want to think twice about that. And of course, The Rise of Skywalker is better than Empire Strikes Back, right? Is that what you said, Will? Did I hear that wrong?
Yeah, that's correct.
Empire Strikes Back is by far the worst Star Wars film, maybe even the worst film ever made. Here on the 312 show, we have the right opinions. Bye, everybody.
We can't hear you. Bye.
You're muted. That's going to be the new thing. It's going to be you're muted. You're muted. We'll be back on Friday with some Star Wars gaming, and then Saturday night, more X-Wing. Bye, you guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you all soon. Adios. 312, Drew and Will are out.